Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the next episode of the turbulent love story between James and Dipe. In the previous episode, the misunderstanding between James's mother and Dipe about her past was resolved. Once James's mother understood the real Dipe, a gentle, sincere girl who had been through a lot of pain, she not only sympathized with her but also began to cherish and love her like a daughter. But the storm is far from over. In this episode, a new character appears, Trang, a wealthy heiress, arrogant and full of ambition. With her glamorous appearance and long-standing close ties to James's family, Trang arrives with a clear agenda to get close to James, seduce him, and steal him away from Dipe at any cost. Will James see through the scheme hidden behind Trang's sweet facade? What will Dipe do when she's looked down upon and pushed into a vulnerable position? Stay tuned for today's dramatic developments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming episodes. That early morning, a sudden power outage plunged the luxurious mansion into an eerie stillness and darkness. Heavy curtains swayed gently in the breeze, and a faint, diffused light from outside painted the space with a dreamlike glow. Dipe, a gentle young woman, recently recovered from an illness, was staying at James's house for a few days to rest. She stepped out of the bedroom, her hair loosely tied, her face still bearing the drowsy softness of someone just waking up. Dressed in a light sweater and a simple floral skirt, she made her way downstairs, intending to prepare a cup of ginger tea as usual. Suddenly, the sharp clack of high heels echoed through the stillness. A woman, elegant yet unfamiliar, stepped into the grand hall. Her designer outfit was perfectly coordinated, from her lipstick shade to the purse tucked under her arm. Her features were sharp, her makeup immaculate, as if she had just walked out of a photo shoot. Her eyes scanned the mansion, then fixed on Dipe, who stood hesitantly near the kitchen. That woman, her name was Trang, raised an eyebrow, eyeing Dipe from head to toe with a gaze that was half disdain, half scrutiny. Her voice rang out, cold and commanding. "Are you the maid here? What a lovely home, even the hired help looks so sweet." Before Dipe could respond, Trang's gaze flicked toward the lounge area. "I'm a bit hungry. Go slice some fruit for me, will you? Thin and even, okay? Don't ruin the kitchen knives with clumsy hands." Dipe froze. She hadn't uttered a word before Trang stepped closer, lifting her right foot and pointing at her cream-colored Louboutin heels. "Oh, and these shoes are expensive. Picked up some dust outside. Be a dear and wipe them clean for me, carefully, don't scratch the leather." The entire room seemed to freeze for a moment. Dipe bit her lip, unable to believe what was happening. A wave of humiliation surged within her. She was a guest someone James loved and had invited to stay, yet she was being treated like a servant. But Dipe said nothing. She didn't want to make a scene. Enduring was something she had learned well from a cold, loveless marriage to the precarious independence she fought for after her divorce. She lowered her eyes, trying to hide the tear threatening to fall. As for Trang, she was the epitome of a spoiled heiress. Raised in luxury, pampered and praised, she was intelligent and striking, but calculating to the core. To her, the world was divided into two kinds of people, equals and inferiors. And Dipe, with her modest clothes, soft-spoken manner, and gentle aura, clearly belonged to the latter. Trang was an old classmate of James. They had gone to the same international school and even studied abroad in Europe together. She believed there was a special bond between her and James, something outsiders like Dipe could never understand. To Trang, James was the perfect catch, wealthy, handsome, and from a powerful family. She refused to accept any other woman near him, especially someone nameless and statusless like Dipe. To Trang, this encounter was nothing more than a light warning. But to Dipe, it was a painful strike, one that touched the deepest corners of her pride and the buried insecurities of her past. But James was different. To him, Trang had always been just an old friend, close, perhaps, but never beyond that line. They might have shared a childhood, gone to the same schools, even studied abroad together, but James had never felt a spark for her. Ever since he met Dipe, the simple, gentle yet strong-hearted girl, James had stopped searching for anything else. In his eyes, Dipe was his entire world. When Trang found out the truth that Dipe wasn't a maid, as she had assumed, but James's beloved, her face momentarily lost color. Embarrassment and confusion flickered across her usually composed, proud expression. She awkwardly stood up, trying to maintain her poise, though her voice dropped noticeably. "I am sorry, I didn't know." Dipe gave a small shake of her head. She didn't scold, didn't retaliate, but something in her gaze quietly shut a door. A door that might have welcomed a sister, a fellow woman, a friend. At that moment, James's mother entered the room. She was gentle, yet her voice carried a firm undertone. Her eyes met Trang's not with their usual warmth, but with a hint of disapproval. "Trang, even if it was just a misunderstanding, words can still hurt. Dipe is a sensitive girl and she's been orphaned since she was little. You should be more mindful, especially now that you're working in our family's company." Then she turned to Dipe, gently taking her hand as if offering an apology on Trang's behalf. Trang bowed her head, clutching her designer purse. For the first time in her life, she felt small in the very house she once considered so familiar. Not because Dipe was trying to outshine her, but because in James's eyes, she had never been anything at all. That afternoon, James returned home from the company. He didn't say much, just quietly walked over to Dipe and gently took her hand. His eyes were tender, silently conveying a message: "I'm sorry you had to endure that. From now on, I won't let anyone hurt you again." On the way back, the atmosphere in the car was quiet but warm. Dipe leaned gently against his shoulder, the safest place she had ever known, and for the first time, she truly felt protected. That afternoon, James continued his work surveying a new rice variety in a rural field on the outskirts of the city. Together with a local agricultural engineer, he assessed the growth of the strain he had personally brought back from abroad. During the discussions, James emphasized the importance of reducing the use of harsh pesticides, improving weeding methods, and shared his own insights to help farmers achieve a more productive harvest. As for Dipe, after that humbling morning, she held no resentment toward anyone. Quietly, she returned to the small house on the outskirts where she was staying. She shed the weight of her hurt and slipped back into the simple, familiar rhythm of life: the garden, the gourd trellis, the mango trees, the rows of green vegetables. The golden afternoon sun spilled across her hair as Dipe bent down to pick guavas and jackfruits, each one ripe, fragrant, and full. Her fingers sticky with sap, her forehead dotted with sweat, yet her eyes shone with quiet determination. Life had been harsh, yes, but Dipe had never allowed herself to grow weak. She knew only by being strong and independent could she stand tall in this world and beside James with dignity. She didn't want to become a burden to him. She didn't want others to look at her with pity or contempt. And she certainly didn't want James to feel torn between her and the complicated expectations of people like Trang. So each day, in between tending to herself and helping with small household chores, Dipe continued her habit of harvesting fruit and selling it at the market. The money she earned was modest, but it was hers, earned with her own hands, and she often reminded herself, "As long as I work hard and live kindly no matter where I come from, I can still hold my head high." And James, if he truly loved her, then that love must begin with a respect for the simplest, truest parts of who she was. Though swamped with work, James quickly answered when he saw Dipe's name on the screen. Dipe tried to mask the hoarseness in her voice from a cold, but each word still carried her gentle, familiar tone. "Are you busy? I just called to ask if you'll be home for dinner tonight." There was a brief pause. James could hear the soft rustling of the wind on her end, mixed with a few quiet coughs. He softened his voice. I'll try to finish early. Please cook dinner and wait for me. I'll come home tonight to eat with you. No grand promises, no fancy words, just a simple sentence, but to Dipe, it was a quiet comfort in the middle of a weary afternoon when her body still ached and her heart hadn't yet settled after the hurtful morning. The call ended. Dipe leaned back against her chair and smiled. Just a small smile, but enough to chase away the lingering chill in her body and the occasional loneliness that crept in. She, an orphan girl who had endured a tear-filled marriage, who had braved each day in silence, had finally found someone who truly wanted to protect her. Someone patient enough to listen, kind enough to understand, and warm enough to make her feel like she belonged. But can peace truly last forever? While Dipe was cherishing each quiet moment beside the man she loved, elsewhere, Trang with cold, calculating eyes and a heart full of ambition officially stepped into James's company. She wasn't there just to intern. She came with a clear agenda to get close to James, sabotage his relationship with Dipe, and claim the position by his side at any cost. What schemes will Trang use to wedge herself between James and Dipe's love? And Dipe, the gentle yet unyielding woman, what will she do to protect the love she fought so hard to find? All will be revealed in the next episode. Stay tuned to find out, is true love strong enough to survive the shadows of manipulation? Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss a single dramatic twist.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người. Mọi người ơi, cảm ơn mọi người rất nhiều vì mọi người đã theo dõi hết video hôm nay. Và trong video hôm nay thì James và Diệp, đôi tình nhân này thì mới bắt đầu bước sang một trang mới của đoạn tình cảm rồi. Nhưng liệu rằng mọi thứ có mãi êm đẹp như thế không? Và liệu rằng họ có sống hạnh phúc bên nhau mãi mãi hay không? Và những khó khăn gì sắp tới đang còn chờ đợi họ? Và họ sẽ yêu nhau, cùng nhau vượt qua như thế nào? Thì mọi người nhớ đón xem và đừng bỏ lỡ bất kỳ tập nào mọi người nhé. Vì vậy mọi người hãy like, share và subscribe kênh để không bỏ lỡ bất kỳ tập nào. Và bật chuông thông báo lên để khi kênh mình ra một video mới thì sẽ có thông báo về mọi người để mọi người kịp thời xem. Và mình xin chào tạm biệt mọi người. Chúc mọi người một ngày thật vui vẻ và tốt đẹp. Và rất mong là sẽ được gặp lại mọi người trong những video tiếp theo. Bye bye.